Tell me, what brings you here to Stockton?
I'm in Stockton because the community's asked us to be here. We've gotten a lot of people come to us that are concerned about their water, and they've been concerned about health issues. They've been concerned it's been going on for a while. And obviously, you know, there's been so much national attention now coming to water crisis and what part of that problem is, and the use of chloramines, and that's happening here in Stockton. And so we came in for a community meeting, and we're pleased that the mayor's been involved and taking a good leadership role and seeing what we can do to make sure that Stockton isn't the next Flint.
Bigger picture first, you've been in demand a lot lately in the wake of Flint, right? I mean, what does that say about what's on people's minds around the country?
You know, I've been saying this for a while. We were out in Flint this time last year and forewarning that it was coming, and the community had come to me then. And I'm seeing a real change in communities and people. And to be perfectly blunt, they're sick of business and politics and lack of transparency, as it's been for many, many years. And they're now starting to see the bigger picture. They're starting to see that it's in their own backyard. They're starting to see that they haven't been necessarily told the truth, and that they are paying the ultimate price through their health and welfare. And I just think that the bigger picture is, as we go through this crisis, that you're going to see the people being proactive, speaking up, speaking out, and making it their business to get involved. Well, I've been doing this a really long time, and I think people have been trying to say something for a really long time. I think that we wanted to believe what agencies and municipalities are telling us, that even though the water's discolored, it's good for you and it can't harm you. And I think people are really waking up to the fact that they're not being told the truth. And frankly, just everyone's sick of it. Every single community I go, in Flint and being here in Stockton and the 100 other places I could list to you right off the top of my head, and they're just not going to take it anymore. I mean, the risk is too great. It's their health, it's their welfare. We're all entitled to clean water. We've got to stop making it a political issue, and we've got to get out there and start finding these communities, being solution driven, and making sure that there's clean water for all. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems within the agencies and the system, and it needs to be corrected. And I think that people are just standing up now and saying, we've had enough, and we're going to get involved. We're going to be active. We're going to educate ourselves. We're going to become informed. We're going to start asking questions, and we're going to start holding our elected officials and those that we see as our leader, put their feet to the fire, do your job, and make sure that you provide us with safe drinking water. And in the event that you don't, it will become an issue, and we will work hard to change that so that they can be protected.
Here in Stockton, chloramine is, I guess, the big issue. Why are you concerned about it?
Chloramine has been a big issue for quite some time. I think it's important for everyone to understand, and I take it for granted too, that we just think we turn on the tap and the water's there and everything is just across the board the way it's supposed to be. Everybody's water quality in every state is different, and you can't just make willy-nilly changes with water systems, and you can't add chemicals and take chemicals because you disrupt the entire system. Chloramines is being used as a band-aid, really, to cover up the water problems we have. It's a cheaper solution, and it's the use of chlorine and ammonia. It's very caustic, it's very corrosive, and it's causing all our infrastructure, as it gets pitted and through all the corrosiveness, to leach out everything that's in those pipes. Manganese, iron, lead, like you're seeing in Flint, like you're seeing now in Ohio, like you're seeing now in Louisiana. It's damaging the infrastructure across the board. It's becoming toxic, it's harming people, and it's causing these exposures, as you're seeing in Flint. And there's a solution to it and a better way to do it, and they're not doing it, and now we have a huge mess on our hands.
Are you seeing health impacts you feel caused because of the use of chloramine?
Well, in Flint, there's a couple of things. They've got an ammonia button that they can turn on and off, and we don't know to what extent they've used it. They've added river water that's highly corrosive, and it's created a lead condition. Yes, with the chloramines, it's causing problems, and we're having people come to us from whether their skin's being burned or they're getting rashes. people who are pregnant, and that's something that's really important we have to talk about here, because when you start looking at what the numbers are, we don't look at a sensitive receptor. You know, the Safe Drinking Water Act, the EPA, they have maximum contaminant limits. Those get exceeded. Those MCLs are set based on a healthy 32-year-old adult male. You can't have the same rule for a pregnant woman, who that infant, an unborn child, could be more affected. Somebody with an autoimmune system, elderly. And so the chloramines are a problem, and there's communities across the board that are reporting health problems. It's not effective, it's corrosive, and I don't know why we have to get to this place where people's health is in demise, that we have to have this argument. And they know what they're doing, there's a better way to do it, and they're not listening, they're not heeding warning, and now, you know, the horse is out of the barn, and the problem's been created.
What's the better way?
The better way is to definitely not use chloramines. The better way is we've got to get the EPA, a solid agency again. I know they don't like to hear it. I've been saying it repeatedly, but it's the truth. They're dysfunctional, they're defunct, they're not working properly, whether they're overburdened, understaffed. Let's be honest, they don't have any money. Let's be more honest, they're not doing their job. And they are in charge of the Safe Drinking Water Act, and they're going to have to get in here and have greater oversight and greater inspections and the ability to enforce and not allow these municipalities to cheat the system and pick a cheap way to go and cause a national crisis. So there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of blame to go around, and I think people here at the bottom are starting to push back up to the top and say, this isn't right. We've gone community after community after community. We've been able to talk about the science. We've been able to prove, you know, my investigator, my water master, Bob Bocock, has been to endless communities, even in Flint, Michigan, and told them a year ago what it is you needed to do. So these agencies need to start listening.
Instead of chloramine, is there a better solution here in Stockton specifically?
Typically they've been using chlorine, which has been effective in, you know, getting rid of all the dirts and all the biofouling and everything in the water, and it can create a total trihalomethane, which can be toxic. The better way to do is to follow protocol, and when that happens and they need activated granular carbon activated systems that they don't want to pay for, they need to put those in place instead of finding a cheap way, which is nothing more than a Band-Aid, to find a solution to clean water. There is one, they don't want to pay for it, and that's what they need to start doing.
It's essentially a filtration system.
Yeah, but it has to be specific. And again, you can't just make one statement. Everybody's water quality is different. So what we see happening in Flint water quality and Stockton water quality and Tyler, Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and everywhere else this is popping up, you have to understand the quality of the water, you have to understand what's happening, and you have to have a protocol and a procedure for that, which the Safe Drinking Water Act should be doing for us. EPA could have oversight for that. The state could have oversight to that down to a local level. And where we identify the problem, like we do here in Stockton, what is the water quality? What is the better solution? Do it.
Last thing I'll ask you is, you know, the federal government thinks chloramine is safe. Many water experts do think it's safe. What's your answer to that? Does more research need to be done? What would you say to the many people and agencies who are saying, no, telling the public it's safe, it's okay?
That's part of the problem. You know, and there's enough science out there that shows otherwise, and for whatever purpose, again, political or financial, we're finding out it's not safe. They know a lot of science on it, and they continue to do it. For what reason, I don't know, but we're going to continue to be here day in, day out, as long as it takes. Every state, every city, every community that's reaching out to me that's using chloramine, there's a better solution. They know it, and they need to take a look at it. And I'm going to say this again and again and again and again. Water is everybody's right. And we jump in here, and for political reasons and financial reasons, we're making the wrong choices. And we need to stop that. This is everyone's issue. And there are other solutions and better options out there. They know it, and it's time for them to implement it. Chloramine is dangerous, and you know, we've been talking about this for a while, and one thing that we have to understand is everybody's water quality is different. The water quality we have here in Stockton is different than what you get in Flint, it's different what you get in LA, across the board. And there's chemical reactions that happen in water. And the first thing that we're seeing that is a big problem with the chloramines is it's corrosive. We have a failing infrastructure in this country, and the chloramine is causing in all of our piping to leach out the manganese, iron, and copper, and the lead, like you're seeing that just happened in Flint, and now Sebring, Ohio, and now in St. Joseph Parish, Louisiana, and the list goes on. And it's silent, and it gets delivered to the tap, and people don't know necessarily that they're drinking it until the damage is done. And so I'm baffled why the EPA and the Safe Drinking Water Act are well aware of this, isn't taking a step back and going, wow, as we watch this happening, this isn't working, and we need to, again, take a look at the individual water quality, the chemistry of it, and how we're going to treat it, knowing we have a failing infrastructure, knowing we're using a chemical that is a cheap Band-Aid. It's not the solution, it's a cheap Band-Aid, and continue to allow it to happen. So we here in Stockton are hoping that people become proactive and they speak out. We're extremely thankful for the mayor exhibiting really good leadership and understanding that clean water is everybody's right. And if this community is going to make a mistake, how we can intercept that and prevent it from becoming another Flint. And that's the right thing to do.
Okay. You know, the city manager here says, you know, his mind's made up, the water's safe. He put a video on the website, and he's drinking tap water, supposedly.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Really? Yes, I saw that video. You know, I saw the experts in the PG&E case that I started back in 1991 that resulted in that movie, and they were all drinking hexavalent chromium and saying it can't hurt you. Oh, oops. Come to find out later, it can. I think what he did was very reckless. I'm not sure who decided that he is the one that chooses for all of us how our water will be treated. I think there needs to be transparency. I think the community should know the truth. I think they should know the facts so they can make a decision, and I think that they have a say in whether it does or doesn't get treated with chloramine, and he isn't the one to say and be all.
You put a posting on Facebook. I remember it said, "Congratulations, Stockton, you're putting ammonia in your water."
I know.
You're too lazy, too cheap. What did you write? I would like to hear your
Basically
words.
that. I mean, you know, sometimes we have to call it out really hard, and the truth is it hurts. And this city manager, you know, he obviously should be reading what's going on in other communities. He knows that there's been issues with the chloramine. He needs to hear from the community members and the very people drinking it. And he shouldn't be stupid, and he shouldn't take the cheap route. He should do the right thing and follow protocols and look at his water quality and what it is that he can do to deliver safe, potable water for all without using chloramines that is corrosive, that can damage the system, that can change the chemistry, that can harm the people. So I'll say it again, don't be stupid.
Awesome. My last question for you. Have you had people come to you, email you, call you, say, you know, I got sick because of chloramine?
Well, people don't know it's chloramine. They'll come to me, if you go to my Facebook, and they'll be showing us, why is my water black? Why is my water red? Why is my water yellow? I probably posted 20 locations like that just in the past month across the United States. What they do note is, I'm worried about the water, you know, my scalp's burning, my skin is itching, something smells different, it doesn't taste different. I've been using the water for a while, and I'm noticing, you know what, literally like clumps of my hair coming out. So they will notice something not so subtle, and they don't just become alarmists. They kind of observe for a while that something's changed. They talk to their neighbors, they make note there's got to be something common, it's the water, and then they'll come to me. And then oftentimes we jump in and we look at that system and we're like, oh my God, another municipality that switched to chloramines.
Will result in some change or some education?
Absolutely.
do
You
you
know,
think?
I hope it results in education, I hope it results in awareness, I hope it spars a good conversation, one that has to be had, and that results in a community saying, oh, this is something we don't think should be in our water, letting the mayor and letting your leaders make that decision, and not some water quality expert who isn't the vote and isn't the voice of all, that for whatever budget reasons or political reasons wants to use chloramine when there's plenty of evidence in front of you and it's happening everywhere that you shouldn't be. So I think that communities are changing. They're tired of politics as usual. They're getting involved. They're using their voice, and that is what will cause the shift. And I'm in favor of that every single time. This isn't some, scare tactic that we're doing. There are solutions, better options, and this community is open and receptive to it. They've come to us, and I think that they will push to make the right decisions so they have safe water. I really do. I'm banking on the people.
You're banking on the people.
I'm banking